الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه أما بعد. Continuing the hadith of the book of Al-Jama, and specifically here Babu al-Zuhud Wal-Wara. Babu al-Zuhud Wal-Wara. We'll continue inshallah in the hadith number 6 in this sharh or in this bab. But the number of hadith from the beginning of the book of the Salam is 1375. So far, alhamdulillah, we've been doing it for many years now. With Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessing and guidance and help. The next hadith عن سعد بن أبي وقاص رضي الله تعالى عنه قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن الله يحب العبد التقي الغني الخفي. In this hadith, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, saying that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the person taqi, pious, ghani, rich. Of course there's a definition of rich here. قال al-khafiyu, someone who does not stand out, someone who is hidden, is opposite of being conspicuous or like inconspicuous, and free his heart from want to show off or of hypocrisy. However, there's another also meaning of that. For these three things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves. Now, in the journey of the believer, if you want to be the closest to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, check what Allah loves and try to be among those categories. If you fail in one, then one of the category maybe you admitted in it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, talk about al-Musallin. Are you from among the Musallin when you come to the Day of Judgment or not? Because to be from the group of the Musallin, those who have been described in Surah Al-Mu'minun, that you have khushu' of the salah. الذين هم في صلاتهم خاشعون. And then دائمون حافظوا خشوع وديمومة وحفاظ. Focus, حفاظ, safeguarded, which is like to watch its condition, its pillars. قال ودائمون, you persevering on it, thus you become from the Musallin. إن الله سبحانه وتعالى مع الصابرين. إن الله يحب المحسنين. Allah loves the muhsin, the good doers. Are you one of them? If you belong to one of these categories, then you guaranteed all the great blessing in all your entire existence. So here we have three things: taqiyun, ghaniyun, khafiyun. So here is like the Prophet ﷺ describing for us as a personality of a true, genuine believer. So who is a taqi? The taqi is someone who's pious. Here, what is mean التقي? الذي يأتي بما يجب عليه ويجتنب ما يحرم عليه. The one who fulfill and observe what has been ordained to do, and trying and striving to not fall into anything haram. Now, falling in the haram, unlike doing the obligation, different. Because the Prophet ﷺ قال ما نهيتكم عنه فانتهوا وما أمرتكم به فأتوا منه ما استطعتم. This is the meaning of the taqwa. What I have prohibited you, don't do it. And what I have commanded you to do it at the best of the ability, at your ability. Because the taqwa, the ibadat, you cannot reach the level, the peak of the ibadat, of the worship. It's impossible. If you want to make like extra rak'ah, 12, 16, 20, other people they might be doing 100, other people they might do like, so there's no end. And then there is what we call, al-muhaddadu, what is restricted, what is limited. There's ibadat that do not have restriction. You find the ibadah that is restricted in time and defined in, for example, in element, like the salah. Dhuhr, how many rak'ah? 4. What is the time? Dhuhr. But it has element in it unrestricted, If there's time for sujood, can, for example, you made 3 times or 4 times Subhana Rabbi al-A'la, 6 times you say someone is enough, you are doing bid'ah. There is no bid'ah, you are in sujood. So if you stay an hour in sujood, if you can. So it's like not muhaddada. So you see, قال وما أمرتكم به فأتوا منه ما استطعتم, and what I have ordained you, do from it as much as you can, as the best of your ability. And the best of the ability is not the effort, is not the strength only, because someone need to take that balance, because you have rights that people, they have upon you rights, and you have duties that you have to fulfill. So you cannot ignore your duties and ignore the right of the people who they have them toward you. Why? Because you are in the prayer. You see, this is the balance. فَأْتُوا مِنْهُ مَسْتَطَعْتُمْ. However, why the Prophet ﷺ said about the prohibited, stop, don't do it? Because the prohibited, subhanallah, it does not come to you. You go to it. Someone, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, consuming of substance haram, intoxicant is haram. Don't do it. If you don't move from your place, if you always frequent the good place, that thing is not going to come to you. Masatat. Because the person will fall into the sins when he going to follow, subhanAllah, things that is going to trigger. Because they start with the idea, and the shaitan start, to water that idea, then it becomes, after the idea, it becomes an intention, and after intention is going to be strong will, and after strong will it becomes like big azima, and then he's pushed. Then subhanAllah, he feel like burning out of desire, he cannot stop it. The person, why? Because he didn't stop from the beginning. He made the first step. قَالَ وَمَا نَهَيْتُمْكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. So this is the taqwa. This is Allah, if you do such a thing, Allah will love you. Can you imagine what it means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you? You know what it means? In the hadith, قَالَ فَإِذَا أَحْبَبْتُهُ كُنْتُ سَمْعَهُ الَّذِي يَسْمَعُ بِهِ وَبَصَرَهُ الَّذِي يَبْصُرُ بِهَا قال ويده التي يبطش بها إلى آخره ولئن سألني لأعطينه ولئن استعاذني لأعيذنه. قالوا في أول حديث, in the beginning of the hadith, قال سبحانه وتعالى من عاد لي وليا فقد آذنته بالحرب. Whoever will show enmity to one of those I love, I will declare war against them. So when Allah loves you, you will be like in the canopy, you're going to be fully immersed by the light of Allah. You will see with the light of Allah. You hear with the light of Allah. You move with the light of Allah. Whatever, when you stretch your hand and you do it and you walk, is all with the light of Allah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you. Then it becomes like a light upon light, yourself. A light upon light. So this is a taqi. And it's easy to do. It's easy to do, insha'Allah, with the help of Allah. Because if you make a mistake, it's not the end. The mistake is always, subhanallah, help you to restart or to kind of rejuvenate, to refresh. As Ibn al-Qayyim said, in the sins, wisdom, and in the sins, benefit. Because he gave the example of someone who falls sick. When someone falls sick, and with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be cured, that system of his, it become immune to that disease that he get. So when subhanAllah someone is vulnerable and he gets like bacteria or some microbe or things, or catch like things, then subhanAllah his system will work to push it away. So that disease, what happened, it make the system, the immune system getting stronger. So when someone gets a sin, fall into a sin, bi jahala, then he regret, flee back to Allah, feel shame, feel embarrassed, begging Allah to subhanahu to forgive him. All of that has become strengthening their iman, becomes stronger. So that strength he gained out of the sin he did. So you see, in the sin there is a wisdom, not that someone in deliberate way he's going to make the sin, why he's seeking to increase his iman. That has a person perversity in their heart. Because when the heart has a problem, it's not going to change in the action. But someone, subhanAllah, fall into sin, out of weakness, he's going after the tawbah, becomes stronger. So when you make a sin, don't feel like, subhanAllah, that's it, the end. that you're going to be cursed, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to hate you? No. Actually, making a sin isn't natural into the human being. What is not natural is when someone persists on the sin. قَالَ وَلَمْ يَصِرُّوا عَلَى مَا فَعَلُوا وَهُمْ يَعْلَمُونَ. That's the condition. طيب. والغنى, of course, the level of the taqwa are levels. So what is al-ghina? Al-ghina literally means rich. But here is not rich, which is actually al-Qadi Iyad. In some of the narration he mentioned the rich, but we'll explain it. So it will not be, let's say, it does not rhyme and fit our perspective of belief, because the best among us is the pious, the more righteous, not the one who's rich. So in which perspective he rich? Rich in the heart, contented. When subhanAllah he sees the dunya, this person, he sees the gains of the dunya, it does not move their heart. They don't have the appetite for the dunya. They don't drool when they see money. They don't. So he's ghani. So the ghina is a satisfaction that the people who follow the worldly life, they will never be able to attain. Never. Only the one, this ghina, could be attained only by the believer pious. Because if you think, what is al-ghina? The ghina is a state in one's nafs, to feel satisfied and assured. Right? People, they want more money. Why? For more safety, more security, for, indulging in all what they want. That's their aqidah. However, these people, rich in physical things, but poor in their heart, dead in their heart. Why? Because they never stop accumulating. And that's the nature of the human being. What the Prophet ﷺ told us about that. قال لو أوتي ابن آدم واديان من ذهب. If the child of Adam was being given and granted 2 valleys filled with gold. Imagine the valley. The valley is what comes between 2 mountains. So valley, subhanAllah, imagine a gold coming from the ground to the level of a mountain, valleys, or like extended on all the surface of the valleys. You'll have 2 valleys filled with gold. What are you going to do, this child of Adam? He said, now is the time to give sadaqah. Now is time to retire. قال لابتغى ثالثهما. He will be wishing to get the 3rd one. So he's poor in the heart, weak, vulnerable, scared, subhanAllah, insecure, anxious, worried. So this is the true poor one. So he'll be wishing to get a 3rd one. قال وما يملأ عين ابن آدم إلا تراب. Only will fill the satisfaction, only will satisfy the eye of the human being. Because why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned the eye? Because people, they desire with their eye, they eat with their eye, they accumulate with their eye, they think with their eye, which is mean. When they see small food, they say, this is too little. When they say, oh, this is great, but they cannot even eat that too little that they thought is too little. Right? So people, they say, you eat with your eye. This is how we say it, the Arabic language. He eats like, he thinks like all that table with his eye, he desires it, but he cannot fit everything in the stomach. The same when it comes to the money. And subhanAllah, here they make it like possible. They make it possible. I think I told you the story, but this is the thing that really shocked me. One of the few things that shocked me the most when we came to to the US. I was in a part of the bathroom and they had, subhanAllah, a big picture, a big poster. Pile of $100. This is the poster. They said, this is the first million. So I said, how people they think here? It's like when you look at the pile of the $100, it's feasible. Because it's not that big for $1 million. Maybe they compress it, I don't know. Have you ever seen a pile of $100 making $1 million? I don't think so. It wasn't this poster, maybe. But subhanAllah, it shocked me how the mentality of everyone who looks at that they dream. And then it's like the son of the Prophet ﷺ said, that's one pile, then there's going to be the second, the third, the fourth, till they die. And their drive and willpower is, that famous saying that they had, get rich or die trying. Get rich or try dying, or die trying. So imagine shaheed, someone dies a shaheed for the dollar. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. Where he's going to be? Jannat al-Na'im? Of course, you know where he's going to be. So al-Ghaniyu Ghaniyu al-Qalb. Contentment. Contentment. And you might be a millionaire. As when we're talking about Zahid last week, the Abdullah ibn Mubarak, when he was asked, can a person has like 1,000 dinars, which is like a lot of money, can be a Zahid, can be a pious person? He said, yes, of course. How's that? When the increase of the money and the decrease of the 1,000 dinars would not affect the heart. I think I told you the story of Abdul Qadir al-Jilani rahimahullah ta'ala. Abdul Qadir al-Jilani was one of the great scholars, Hanbali, in Baghdad, very pious. And many of the stories being associated to him that he is bari' minha. Bari' minha Abdul Qadir, rahmatullahi alayhi. He used to do business. And he has an investment on some ship's boats. And when there's a lot of commodities and everything. So he was teaching in his class, one of his ghulam, worked for him. He came to him and he whispered something in his ear. After he whispered, a shaykh, he looked down to his chest and he said, Alhamdulillah. Then the class didn't finish. And the same, boy or like man came and he whispered in his ear again. And because he stopped the class, so everybody is watching. And then after he did, he looked down back to his chest and he said, Alhamdulillah. After the whole class finished, some of the students, they were curious, close students, they said, Shaykhana, what was that, Don't worry. So they asked him about the reason, or what was the story. So he told them the reason. He said the first time he came and he told me that the boat in which all your merchandise is, that you have invested, sunk. Happened shipwreck and he sunk. So he lost everything. So he's a sheikh, mashallah, but businessman. So he looked down and he checked his heart. It didn't move around. Because people like this, people they're going to faint. Some of the people which happen in some past, economic crisis where people they jump from high building because it's the end of their life, right? That's all their life. Al-Imam here, he looked at his heart, didn't move because it's all associated, attached to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Al-Razzaq, he didn't die and never dies. Hayyun Qayyum. So why linking your emotion to something that goes up and down as in the hand of Allah? Wallahu yabsutu rizqa liman yasha'u wa yaqdir. He'll extend to whom He will and He restricted to whom He will. So He is a Razzaq. And not in extending you the rizq or restricting from you the rizq is your piety or is your success or is your happiness or is your peace. Because if you attach the peace and happiness with the accumulation, what we have in your hand, this is where we doomed ourselves. Then he said the second time when he came, he told them, we had the news that another ship who sank is not. So the ship where your merchandise of yours is safe. Good news. He looked down back to his chest to check his heart and it didn't move. It didn't move with the news of losing everything and it didn't move with the news of had everything back. Said Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah alladhi wattada qalbi ala ibadatillah. That He had made my heart to be firm only on the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And everything that is related to Allah, nothing associated to the dunya. So this ghani, this one is ghani. This is the ghani. Ghaniyul qalb. Ghaniyul qalb, subhanallah, he does not look at what people they have. He does not be craving things that they make them miserable, craving things that lead them to humiliate themselves, craving nothing except the pleasure of Allah. That's ghaniyul qalb. So Allah loves this person. Love this person. So if you want Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to love you, then ask Allah to give you ghina al-qalbi, contentment, to be contented with all what you have. Because remember, everything that you get into your life is a grant, blessing, and a favor from Allah. Even the worst thing that happened to you in your life, you will see it in the Day of Judgment. If you are in good term with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that was a grant, a blessing, and a favor from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because only Allah inflicts on you, if you are a true believer, only what is in your favor to help you in your journey of your existence. Al-Ghina also, as Al-Qadi Iyad, he said it might be also rich person, but Ghina with contentment which make a person to be spending in the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the Prophet ﷺ, when he made the 4 categories of the people, he said the best of the people who the one Allah who gave him money and he gave him piety. And he uses the money in what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here the money comes with the base of a piety, make the person to be elevated. And the second person, the one who didn't have money, but has piety, and he wishing if he had money, he will do as this person was doing. And he is lesser, I stop here. But I'll tell you why he's lesser. Not because the first one has money, and then he can be able to give sadaqah. No, the second person, he wishing and intending. Because if he will have been, if he get the money, will he truly do as the first person or not? Rather, someone, for example, has $1 million and gives. Another one was, he said, Ya Allah, Allah, if you give me $1 million, I'll do like him. Allah reward him. But he will not give him the test to give him the $1 million, because that $1 million maybe spoil his heart and he will not do like the other person. That's why he's a lesson. Inshallah, نكتفي بهذا القدر, as inshallah we came to the half of an hour or more. فجزاكم الله خير وبارك الله فيكم. If you have any question, the session ends here, but whoever has a question, you are welcome.